Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church. I'm here again to talk another day about Joshua. I have one more after this one, but today's a special day, I think, and I hope you'll agree with me after we're finished. So let's look at Joshua chapter 5, and I'm going to read a couple of verses beginning with verse 13. When Joshua was near the town of Jericho, he looked up and he saw a man standing in front of him with sword in hand. Joshua went up to him and demanded, "Are you friend or foe?" "Neither one," he replied. "I am the commander of the Lord's army." At this, Joshua fell with his face to the ground in reverence, and he said, "I am at your command. What do you want your servant to do?" The commander of the Lord's army replied, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you're standing is holy." And Joshua did as he was told. Now, a little bit of a context here. Joshua has begun the claiming of the promised land. And there was a lot of people who didn't like that idea. But it continued. And there'd been some fighting. There's going to be a lot more. And so as I guess Joshua's just walking around. I don't know. He doesn't tell us what he was doing. But as he's walking around, he sees what he thinks is a man with a sword in hand. Well, now, it's not surprising that Joshua's first response would be, "Well, are you a friend or your foe?" I mean, he's thinking, are you on my side or have I got to fight you? Now, we don't know what this guy looked like. Maybe he was big and huge. Maybe he was intimidating. Maybe Joshua wasn't quite sure he could beat him. So he was hoping he wasn't an opponent. But in any case, the man speaks back to him and he says, "Well, I'm neither one." Wow. Now, that's an interesting thought. I bet you that didn't occur to Joshua. I bet you when he saw this man, maybe grabbed his sword, maybe even pulled it out because the other guy had his sword out. I bet you it never occurred to him that he was neither a friend nor a foe. Now, if he's not one of those, what is he? Well, he tells him. He says, "I am the commander of the Lord's army." Wait a minute here. Think about Joshua's thoughts. He sees this guy, got a sword in his hand. We're in the midst of a fight. Is this somebody I gotta fight, or he's on my side, or what? And he says, "I'm not on either side. Instead, I am the commander of the Lord's army." Joshua must have been shaken to the core. He must have just been maybe even paralyzed. Because it goes on to say here, he says, uh, he fell on his face and he said, "I'm at your command. What do you want me to do?" He recognized that this man, as depicted, was a representative of God. And his first response, which is what they would have done in the Old Testament, was to bow down. He may have even laid on the ground, doesn't tell us that, just said that he put his face to the ground. And his question is, "What do you want me to do?" Well, I think that sometimes you and I meet this guy in various places. Maybe we meet him in the form of another person a stranger who comes up and says, "Hey," or maybe we meet him in the quietness of our mind and we hear this voice that says, "I want to talk to you." Maybe we meet him as we find ourselves in the midst of situations not knowing what to do. I can't speak for you. You can only do that for yourself. But I've had situations where in the midst of something going on that was pretty intense, something changed. I can't tell you that I saw an angel. I don't know if I've ever seen one that told me they were one. I think I've seen some, but usually they don't toot their own horn. So, what do you do when you're in the midst of this incredible situation and all of a sudden God is there? Well, what we ought to do is what Joshua did. We ought to fall down and worship. Now, I don't mean we have to physically do that. We have to stop what we're doing and thinking. And we have to ask the question, what do you want me to do? See, so many times we don't consider what God wants us to do. We just go on. We're so busy and so determined to get from here to there. Fing, off we go. But yet, God is always in the midst of our lives. And maybe if we would spend a little more time asking Him, what do you want me to do? Maybe we would see an angel, or at least hear one, or at the very minimum, rethink our plans. Now, I'm not suggesting that what you're doing is wrong, or you're heading down the wrong path, or anything like that. There's some of you who are listening today, and you have walked with God for many, many years. But there's some of you who haven't. And there are probably even some of you who've never done that. So, wherever you are in the continuum there, each and every day, let's take a couple of minutes and listen and look and ask God, what do you want me to do? I can assure you, if you ask Him, He'll tell you. It might take a little while to find it out, but if you'll search for Him, He'll be there. Well, think about it. Hope you have a great day. Really do. Hope your Thursday is special. I'll be back tomorrow with one more time talking about Joshua. But before I do that, if you have a concern or a need, something we can help you with, please let us know. And we'll do everything we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. Thanks for listening. God bless you. I'll be back tomorrow.